Rob from Van Compass here, and today we're going to show you our new Topo 2.0 lift kit designed specifically for the all-wheel drive Ford Transit. So this kit was developed specifically for the all-wheel drive Transit due to the fact that its front axle shafts presented some unique design constraints when it comes to lifting the vehicle. To begin with, we made a 3/4 inch strut spacer that has built-in camber and caster correction. That gets the van up in the air 3/4 of an inch. To get the additional 1.25 inch lift, we developed 2 lift coils. Here on the table, we see our Red Coil. This is our heavy-duty coil designed more for heavy camper vans or motorhomes that are carrying more weight on the front end. Behind me on our empty cargo van, we're running the Blue Coil, and that's the OEM spring rate coil. Which coil to use depends on what you're using your vehicle for. Another option when installing this lift kit is to upgrade the front struts to a BLISTEIN B6 unit. Not only do you get an improvement in ride quality with these struts, you also get an additional 1/2 inch of lift because the B6 unit actually has the coil perch welded on slightly higher, preloading the coil slightly more. The final front component piece is a sway bar relocation tab, and that makes up the front portion of the lift kit. The rear kit consists of a 2-inch lift block, U-bolts, and bump stop drop brackets to ensure that the rear leaf spring doesn't arch overly negative, prematurely wearing out the rear spring. All necessary hardware to install the kit on the van is included. We're going to dive a little deeper now and show you exactly where these components go and why we developed this kit for the new 2020 all-wheel drive Transit. Here at Van Compass, we really strive to take what OEM does and just make it a little better, all while taking careful consideration into making sure we do not overextend critical suspension and steering components. With the all-wheel drive model, another design constraint that we had to overcome was the passenger side front axle shaft. This axle shaft has a very short length, which means it's also very limited on travel. At full droop plus 1 inch, this axle shaft goes into a bind. And that's why the Topo 2.0 kit utilizes a 3/4 inch strut spacer, which means we're only drooping the van downward an additional 3/4 of an inch. If we had done all of our lift in the strut spacer with a 2-inch, say, strut spacer on it, not only would we be binding up the rear control arm bushing into metal-on-metal contact and maxing out other aspects like tie rod ends and lower ball joints, we would also be putting this axle shaft into a bind, effectively locking up the wheel at full droop. That's the reason why it's a 3/4 inch spacer and a 1-inch coil to get the lift height. With that, you can see the sway bar relocation bracket installed to make sure that the sway bar is not getting into the lower control arm. Here you see the BLISTEIN B6 installed that gets us a little bit additional lift. So this van, being an empty cargo van, is actually sitting at about 2.25, 2.5 inch lift. With the Topo 2.0 kit installed, you will have the peace of mind knowing that all the factory steering and suspension components are working within their correct operating range, all while still getting additional lift, ground clearance, and running up to a 265/75/16 tire. If you're interested in getting the new Topo 2.0 lift kit on your all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive Ford Transit, check out our website at vancompass.com.